In the previous video, I mentioned that language and culture go together. Language and culture go together, and you use language and culture to identify a people. I also mentioned that the language we are speaking shapes how we are thinking, and shapes how we are living, and shape our understanding. I also mentioned that it also limits us, or determine how our understanding of the will of our Heavenly Father, or what He requires from us. The language we are speaking also determines how we are able to understand the will of our Heavenly Father. So if we are thinking like, if we are speaking, but we are still speaking Babylonian language, and we will still be thinking, that means we are still thinking like Babylonians, right? So if we are thinking like Babylonians, that means we are understanding like Babylonians, right? So that way we will always understand or perceive the things of the Spirit, the things of Yahuah in the way Babylonians does, right? And I mentioned that how our ancestors think is different from how we think. Like how the people of the Bible think is different from how we are thinking today. They were considered to be concrete thinkers, and modern people, the way of Babylonian system, everything about the system is considered to be abstract thinking. I will give you the difference. Remember, I said that language and culture go together, and I told you that the Habari language, the Hebrew language, is our language, right? And Torah is our culture, right? So you can only understand Hebrew language by knowing Torah, and you can only learn Hebrew language through Torah, and you can only understand Torah through Hebrew language, right? So now, what is Torah? Torah is instruction. You know what I'm saying? Like if we join the letters, the pictograph together, we'll end up having like somebody standing somewhere pointing you at the direction you should go. You get what I'm saying? So that way, what make the ancient Hebrew people and this modern, which are our ancestors, what differentiate us, or the Hebrew way of thinking and modern way of thinking, is we are concrete thinkers, right? What is concrete thinking? Concrete thought, or concrete way of thinking, is expression of idea in a way that can be seen, feel, smell, touch. Use our five senses to express ourselves when we are talking, when we are writing, and whenever and when we are speaking. So we use things that everyone can see, things that are in your environment, like nature. Once you, like, as a matter of fact, Hebrew language is in the nature, right? So we use everything like bird. You can hear the bird making noise, right? Where I am, because I'm under a tree, there are birds here. So we use those things to illustrate, or to do, or to teach, to do whatever. So that is concrete way of thinking. That means you are able to see what I'm thinking, so you do not have to imagine it, right? That is the Hebrew way of thinking, which is considered to be concrete thinking, right? And European way, or modern way of thinking, is considered to be abstract, right? So now let's focus on the concrete way of thinking, because that is the most important one. That is what I want all of us to know, and the reason why is, so I want us to know the importance of at least everybody who wake up to the truth should know at least the 22 Hebrew pictograph letters and their meanings, right? So once you know that, and you know how they use one letter and join with the other to form a word, it's like that way you have at least basic or foundational understanding of the Torah. So it is necessary, compulsory, important. It is a do or die thing for everybody who choose to belong to Yahuah, Gentiles, or Gentiles who are grafted in, or the true bloodline line descendant. It is very, very important for all of us to have basic understanding of those 22 letters, because once you understand those 22 letters, you have foundation of how the ancient people think. Then you will understand, then you will have that the understanding that they had, and you understand what Yahuah wants from you. You know what I'm saying? So now, when I was talking about Torah, right? I was talking about culture, right? What you understand as culture in English, in Hebrew, let me say, in Hebrew way of culture, in Hebrew way of thinking, culture is covenantal, right? Our culture is covenantal, is covenant. We are, everything about us is covenant. We are always like in covenant with the Most High Creator. You know what I'm saying? So in the word covenant, or in the word culture, you find what, like, if you want to break it down, in the word culture, you find what like derek, which is mean path in Hebrew, like pathway where somebody walk. Remember I said that Torah, if you join the pictograph, actually means somebody standing somewhere, like pointing you to a direction to follow, right? So now that word, derek, the Hebrew word means pathway. You find what, that's one of the words you find in if you try to understand culture the way Hebrew does. The very first word, the very first breakdown what would be path, like pathway, where like when some pathway that somebody's walk, right? That's how you find this in the scriptures. Very, very often you find it many places in the scriptures when it said, go direct, do not turn left, do not turn right, go straight, walk in my commandments, walk in my ways, follow my statutes, walk. You hear that a lot in the scriptures. Why? Because we are covenanted. Why? Because our way of thinking and our understanding, our culture is covenantal. It's covenantal. Like we are always in covenant with Yahuah. Everything about us is covenant. It's tied to covenant that our ancestors, or it's tied to covenant that Yahuah had with us. Everything about us. So you find the word like pathway, where you walk. That's number one. Another word you find under the word culture in Hebrew way of thinking is the word wisdom. So like, okay, before I move to wisdom, let me say this before I move to the next one. Direct means pathway, like road where you walk on. You can see road. Remember I said earlier that our way of thinking is always concrete, like something you can see, smell, feel, touch, hear and understand, right? You use our five senses, right? So road is something you can see, right? Now that is literal, right? Figuratively, it means way of life. You know what I'm saying? When you hear Yahuah say, walk in my ways, way of life. So to add this together, the very first like thing we understand in our culture is how we work, or how we live day by day. So that means the concrete way of understanding, like the one of the foundational way of understanding culture, Hebrew concrete way of culture is how we work day by day, like how we live our day-to-day life. So that's the very first word you find under the word culture when it comes to the Hebrew. So I said that our culture is covenantal, like we are always in covenant with Yahuah. So that way the covenant, like, so that way he has already designed the path for us to walk. That is the very first word you find under the word culture. Another word will be wisdom. The word wisdom in Hebrew way of thinking is not like the stoic, is it stoic, or this philosophy abstract way of thinking. No, it's actually one of the breakdown is to acquire a skill, right? To acquire a skill. That is what we call knowledge in today's world. To acquire a skill. You know what skill is that? Like something like you can hold on to, something, a skill that you do like people see. You remember when our ancestors were existing in Egypt while they were in the wilderness, Yahuah said that he has put wisdom on, I can't remember their names, of two certain people from Judah. He said he has given them wisdom on how to build, on how to be skillful in building the ark. I think so. He said that giving them wisdom, he put the wisdom in them. So wisdom in Hebrew actually acquiring a skill, and that skill, in most time you can only have that skill, you can only be able to, the skill is already in you already, right? Like I said, it's always covenantal. So it's not that you go outside to go and acquire your own skill. The skill is in you already. Why? Because you are in covenant with the Most High Yahuah. Remember, the very first word I mentioned, I said that he has already set a path for us to follow. So now he has put the potential of in you, right? The skill is in you already. So now this wisdom, once you walk in his way, that's why I said is what is his wisdom, you'll be able to discover or be able to actualize the skill that he put in you. So that skill might be like, it will be what we consider to be talent today. It might be you might be singing, might be teaching, might be inspirational speech. You know what I'm saying? To be able to inspire, people. So according to how what Paul said in, is it Corinthians, he said that Yahuah, the Most High Creator, give everybody different kinds of skills. You know what I'm saying? So the only way for you to, that's in this world of the day they call it talent, right? So the only way for you to be able to discover your skill, your wisdom that Yahuah has put in you, is to walk, is your walk with him every day, right? Are you walking in the path that he set before us? Are you, remember that you are in covenant, you are in contract with him? You know what I'm saying? So once you begin to walk that way, all the skills he put in you, the ones he wants to use, he wants to actualize, he wants you to actualize and use it for the to edify the people. You know what I'm saying? Use it for benefit of service to the people, and the people will in return like pay, be of service to you. So you will know it. Remember, we are not to do things on our own. He has already set a path for us to walk. So it's only when we walk in that path that we will be able to understand what required from us. Now remember, this is still in our culture. That is the Hebrew way of thinking, or Hebrew way of understanding the word culture.